right, everybody, Galaxy's Edge Disney World edition is rapidly approaching. We've got about a month to go, and we want to make sure you know everything you need to know when you head to Galaxy's Edge in Walt Disney World. Let's get started. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we are here to talk Galaxy's Edge again. Now, we created an epic video for you when we went in Disneyland. We created sort of a here's what you need to know in Disneyland, but things are going to be a little bit different in Walt Disney World when Galaxy's Edge opens. And there's a lot we don't know yet, but there is a lot that we know that's going to help you plan your trip. The first thing you need to realize is that it's nearly identical to Disneyland. That's right. So Disneyland's and Disney World Galaxy's Edges are pretty much exactly the same. The rides, restaurants, experiences, same layout, same everything. So if you've been in Disneyland, Disney World's going to look very similar and very familiar to you. Now, the Resistance area is going to be a little bit more compressed in Disney World than in Disneyland, and the entrances are a bit different, but otherwise that layout is the same. So you're going to have the same Oga's Cantina, the milk stand over there in the First Order area, the Millennium Falcon ride's going to be the same, and the rest of the Resistance rides are going to be the same. Now, of course, those are going to open December 5th in Walt Disney World and January 17th in Disneyland. Now, when speaking about the restaurants, those menus are nearly identical as well. They're starting to come out for Disney World. We're starting to see all the menus pop up on the Disney World website, and they are nearly identical. The only difference is that you've got a combined lunch and dinner menu for Docking Bay 7 in Disney World, and just a regular lunch menu and a regular dinner menu over there in Disneyland for that restaurant. But what is missing, because you have a combined lunch and dinner menu in Disney World, is the Felucian Garden spread. That is not reflected on the Disney World menu at the moment. It's one of our favorites in Disneyland, unfortunately. It's that Impossible meatballs dish with hummus and pita, and overall it's just really, really good, but we're not seeing it on the Disney World menu at the moment. So we hope that's a glitch. We really would like to see the Felucian Garden spread over there at Disney World, but if not, then that's the only place you're gonna get it, is in Docking Bay 7 in Disneyland. Okay, so nearly identical. Everything's pretty much the same in Disney World and Disneyland's Galaxy's Edges. So do you need a reservation? This is the million-dollar question for everybody considering going to Disney World Galaxy's Edge. So unlike Disneyland, the Disney World land currently does not have a special reservation period. So it's set to open on August 29th. We haven't heard anything about making reservations, which of course in Disneyland, you had to make reservations for basically the first month that was open. You had to make a reservation. You got to go in for 4 hours at a time. And only guests who had a reservation ahead of time could enter for that 4-hour window. Now, we don't have the same thing at Disney World at the moment, but we are keeping an eye. So if you're not on Disney Food Blog's newsletter list, you definitely need to get on it. So if there is a reservation period that opens, we can let you know about that. As of right now, you'll want to plan on getting into the park early if you want to avoid a lot of lines. Now, there will be cast member and annual pass holder previews before Disney World's Galaxy's Edge opens. So those will be by reservation, and they are limited capacity. So congrats to you if you get one. Cast member previews are already booking and begin next week, and annual pass holders should receive an email with details about how to sign up for previews between August 17th and 21. Now, unlike Disneyland, having a Disney World Resort reservation for the first month that Galaxy's Edge is open will not get you kind of a free ticket to get in there. There's no way to guarantee you will get into the land by making a reservation at a Disney World hotel at this point. So staying in a Disney World hotel doesn't necessarily get you any benefits, but there may be a caveat to that, which we'll talk about in a second. Now, Disneyland has been using a boarding group system since the reservation period ended. So what that means is that if the land does reach capacity, they institute their virtual queue. So that means you can sign up for a boarding group, and once enough people leave Galaxy's Edge, your boarding group will be called to go in. And when it's your turn to enter, you then have a 2-hour window to go back to Galaxy's Edge. You can spend as long as you want there. That's how the system works right now in Disneyland. So we're hoping they use the same system, as a huge line snaking through Hollywood Studios sounds like a logistical nightmare. So if they do use the boarding pass system, that means you can sign up for a boarding pass and just go enjoy the rest of Hollywood Studios until your boarding group is called. Now, that boarding pass system at Disneyland has been keeping the Millennium Falcon standby wait, for the most part, under 180 minutes, which is crazy for a new attraction, especially one that's that popular. So Flight of Passage has 6-hour waits when it first opened, and another theme park had 10+ hour waits for their new ride. So it'd be pretty awesome if the Millennium Falcon only had like a 3-hour wait. But keep in mind that Millennium Falcon will not be using FastPass, so that standby line should move a little faster than attractions with FastPass. But as of right now, there's no way to skip the line unless you use that single rider line, which will get you through the line a little bit faster potentially. So what time do I need to be at the park for an enjoyable experience? Well, even though Disneyland has been seriously not crowded at all, it's pretty easy to get into Galaxy's Edge over there right now. We're not sure that Disney World will have the same fortuitous twist once Galaxy's Edge opens. There's a lot more people who plan their Disney World vacation years in advance, so before the opening date announcement, and generally a lot more people visiting Disney World than Disneyland. Also, Disneyland caters primarily to locals, so the majority of their park guests are going to be locals who can go anytime they want. They can go next weekend and the following weekend. So if they've already been to Galaxy's Edge several times, then they probably don't need to go back every single weekend. Whereas in Disney World, you've got more turnover in the guests. You've got brand new guests who've never been there, first timers. You've got once a year guests coming in. So you're going to have a lot more people that are new to Galaxy's Edge for a lot longer than you do in Disneyland. So we're thinking Disney World's Galaxy's Edge is going to be a little bit more crowded than Disneyland's is here a couple of months after opening. Now, the first 3 days, Hollywood Studios will be opening at 6 a.m. for everyone. So August 29th, August 30th, August 31st. After that, extra magic hours are in place for Disney World resort guests. And that's where that thing that I was talking about of booking a Disney World hotel might actually come in handy for you. So if you book a Disney World hotel in those first few months that Galaxy's Edge is open, you will have access to 3 extra hours in the morning to enjoy Hollywood Studios. So that's going to be a 6 a.m. open the first 3 days for everybody, and then a 6 a.m. open for only resort guests after that for a couple of months. These are scheduled through November 2nd. Since we're not sure how busy Disney World Galaxy's Edge will be, we always recommend arriving early. So if you get there right away at 6 a.m., probably you're okay at 7 a.m. too. I don't think there's going to be maybe too many diehards every single morning at 6 a.m. You should be able to ride Millennium Falcon and do all of the other high priority items in Galaxy's Edge before the rest of the park even opens. Now, if you're looking to hit opening day, you're probably going to want to be at the park at least 1 to 2 hours before opening. In Disneyland, they let guests line up at 2 a.m. just to purchase opening day merchandise, and Disney World will likely set a similar time constraint to keep people from sort of camping out the night before. So how do I prioritize my day in Galaxy's Edge? Well, since there's no time limit for being in Galaxy's Edge, you don't have to worry about cramming everything into a 4-hour window like we did when we had reservations at Disneyland's Galaxy's Edge. So if you want to visit the Cantina or build a lightsaber at Savi's, those are going to be your top priorities, because even though there isn't a 4-hour window, we still think there's going to be a lot of demand to get into the Cantina and to build a lightsaber. And remember, there's only so many people who can build a lightsaber each day, so I think those are going to go super quickly. So speaking of, here's how reservations for the Cantina and Savi's are working in Disneyland. They are letting guests make day of reservations for both experiences, so you can make reservations that day that you're going to be in Galaxy's Edge, and reservations open at 7 a.m. There are no standby or walk-up spots available. However, if you do snag one, you're allowed in the land even if it's at capacity. So if Disney World institutes the same reservation system for the Cantina and Savi's workshop, you'll definitely want to get those reservations right at 7 a.m. when they open up, and that guarantees you get into Galaxy's Edge even if you're in a boarding group. Now, there's no announcement from Disney World on whether or not they'll be using that system, but we really hope that they do, because the system before the reservations was kind of cutthroat over there in Disneyland. So here's hoping they do have a reservation system and you can make reservations for Oga's Cantina and Savi's workshop to build your lightsaber. But if they don't, you're definitely going to want to prioritize those two things. Get in the Cantina early, get into Savi's workshop early, and I'd probably prioritize Savi's because there is a time situation there, and those those will probably sell out much more quickly than the spots in the Cantina will. So after you knock those experiences out, Millennium Falcon, droid building, and getting into Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities are going to be the next most difficult things to do when things get crowded. So again, there's no fast pass for Millennium Falcon, so if reservations for the Cantina and Savi's exist, you might want to rope drop the ride and then head to build a droid early in the day and then go to reservations for Cantina and Savi's. But if we see the same boarding group system in place in Disney World, wait times shouldn't get too out of control. Here's hoping. Next question, how can I be a pilot? Now, this is in reference to Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run. All the positions are definitely not created equal when it comes to Millennium Falcon, and being the pilot is something you should definitely try to experience at least once, because the other seats in that cockpit don't even come close to the feeling of literally moving the ship. And you're basically just mashing buttons if you're a gunner or engineer. Although the ride is still fun, it's nowhere near the same experience. So basically, our completely unscientific way of figuring out how to be a pilot is to be one of the first 2 people of the 6 getting assigned positions for the ride. So they hand out those cards in order, usually, at least they did in Disneyland, and the pilots are always the top 2 cards. So let the group in front of you go ahead of you so that you can be one of the first ones. And if that doesn't work out for you, remember that you can trade cards. So once you get into the holding room, you can always see if you can trade cards with someone else who maybe doesn't know that being the pilot is the best position. Now, how much money should I be prepared to spend in Galaxy's Edge? Great question. It really depends. You can have a perfectly enjoyable experience without spending any money in Batuu, or you can drop $200 on a lightsaber, $100 on a droid, and $75 on a beer flight in the Cantina. So food costs are comparable with other Disney World counter service locations, and drinks in the Cantina are on par with bars around the resort. However, the drinks that come in a souvenir glass come with a hefty price tag, like that $75 beer flight that comes with Rancor Tooth cups. So the best thing you can do is probably look on Disney food blogs, see all the stuff you can buy in the creature corner, in the marketplace, at the droid depot, and budget out what you're probably going to need. I will tell you, I went in there thinking I was going to buy nothing, and I spent a lot of money, so be prepared. And what should I eat? Quintessential question here on Disney Food Blog. So the food is definitely not Galaxy's Edge's strong suit, and truthfully, you could skip eating there altogether and not be missing much. I hate to say it, but it's true. And although I sort of changed my mind about Galaxy's Edge the more I visited, I didn't really change my mind that much about the food. I think there's better stuff elsewhere in Disney World. But if you want to know our favorites, here we go. The Ronto Wrap and the morning Ronto Wrap at Ronto Roasters are 2 of my favorite things to get. So Ronto Roasters is just a quick service counter. It's basically a kiosk. There's not even really any place to sit except a few tables scattered around, but those are some of the best things to eat. Over at Docking Bay 7, we do like that Felucian Garden spread, so we hope it comes back. We also really enjoyed the Tip Yip, which is basically fried chicken. The best thing about that, though, is the kids' mac and cheese that comes with it, so be sure to order the kids' mac and cheese while you're there. Our top picks over at the Cantina are that fuzzy tauntaun, which includes those Szechuan buzz buttons in the actual foam at the top, which makes your mouth go numb, which is super crazy, but the actual tauntaun itself is pretty good. The Outer Rim, which is basically a Patron margarita. The Bespin Fizz is pretty fun. That one uses those dry ice cups to make everything go a little crazy inside. And there are plenty of non-alcoholic drinks as well. So we go through a lot of these in our Disneyland Galaxy's Edge video. You can go check that out too. Now let's talk about the blue milk really quickly. You can get blue and green milk over there at the milk stand. It's kind of weird and definitely not for everyone. I've talked to a few people who love it, but many more than a few who don't. Now both the taste and texture are kind of unexpected. The texture is a little bit like a Orange Julius, if you guys remember that from when you were kids. And the flavors of the blue and green milk are supposed to be sort of tropical and fruity, but they sort of tasted more perfumey to us. Definitely not our favorite things to drink, but you kind of have to try them, right? Like if you don't have blue milk, were you really in Black Spire Outpost? I don't know. But overall, if the lines for food are long, you don't have to worry about it. You can always come back another time, and there's probably better food elsewhere. Now, which characters will I be able to meet? Well, several actually, and characters are kind of different over there in Black Spire Outpost on Batuu. So you'll meet Stormtroopers, Kylo Ren, Rey, Chewie, and Vimerati. And the bad guys are going to be in the First Order area, and you can catch Kylo Ren entering the TIE Echelon that's docked there. Rey and Chewie are going to be over in the Resistance area by Rise of the Resistance ride. Vimerati is frequently seen in the Marketplace area near the Speeder Garage, and these characters are just walking around, so you can get a photo, or as they say on Batuu, a scan, with them, but there's no specific place to meet them. They're just going to be wandering around, and there are PhotoPass photographers who will take a scan with you and the character if you happen to be in the right place, but Disney's goal is for you to really have an experience with that character and not just a meet and greet. So if you're not seeing the characters, be sure to stop back and also ask some of the cast members and see if they might know when the characters are coming out. But as always, be prepared for an indirect answer, as the cast members are citizens of Batuu, and Rey is keeping a low profile, so they likely won't want to blow her cover. And that's another thing you should know about Galaxy's Edge. The cast members, they don't know that they are in a Disney park, and they're not going to tell you anything except things that go along with their storyline. So consider all of the cast members basically characters. So you may get some strange answers, you may hear some strange language, and just remember that if there's something that you need desperately, like a restroom, or if your child has hurt themselves or something like that, just let the cast member know, I'm sorry, this is serious, we have a situation, and they can probably come out of character for you to handle up on that detail. Now, when you're in Black Spire Outpost, you may need to change your language around a little bit. Yep, they have entirely different language for certain things, so let's run down the list really quickly. If they say bright suns to you, that's gonna mean hello. If they say till the spire, that means goodbye. If you're going off-world, then you're leaving. For example, cast members will check that you're going off-world when you leave. For the order, indicates your dedication to the First Order when you're over there in the First Order section. Now, galactic credits are the currency you're going to spend, and 1 galactic credit happens to equal $1 US. If you're looking for Savi's workshop to build your own lightsaber, don't ask for where the lightsabers are. Try asking for some scrap metal, because lightsabers are contraband on Black Spire Outpost. And note that you won't see shop signs either, so the marketplace is set up with just stalls that don't have big signs. Once you look a little bit more closely, you'll see each of them do have sort of a shingle hanging out that doesn't have words on it, but does indicate the store you're looking at. And the cantina doesn't have a sign, so to speak. It does say cantina over it, but you will see a symbol of a martini glass, which is what represents the cantina. Over at Savi's workshop, you won't see a sign that says Savi's workshop. You will see a symbol that looks like a stylized lightsaber. Now, when there is a sign or when there is a word, it will be in Arabesh, of course, which is what they speak on Black Spire Outpost. You just have to kind of learn the symbols to figure out where you need to go. And don't forget that if you have Disney Parks Play app, you can actually translate Arabesh on your quote-unquote data pad, which is what the Parks Play app will turn into when you're in Galaxy's Edge. So you can go ahead and point it at some Arabesh and it will translate it into English for you. Now, will I enjoy it if I'm not a Star Wars fan? Yes, absolutely you will. Well, as long as you enjoy being in a theme park in the first place, you'll enjoy it. So the experience of Galaxy's Edge is unique and really only comparable to Harry Potter World at Universal. And even the character interactions and Imagineering really step it up to another level. There's a lot of hidden stuff in Black Spire Outpost, a lot of things that you may not see the first time that you're there. So you definitely need to try to go back several times in order to really experience the land. That being said, there's been a lot of criticism of the land and the experience, some of which are totally valid, and even I myself at the beginning wasn't sure what all the excitement was about. But as long as they keep the land from hitting an insane capacity, the experience is really enjoyable. And once the cast members get into the groove and Disney works out those last few kinks, the land is really immersive with lots of different ways to experience it. Whether you want to help Vimerati or Rey hide from stormtroopers, or you just want to stand back and observe while you sip on some blue milk. So we hope this is helpful. We've got a lot of info for you, and as soon as we get more, we'll share it with you. Let us know in the comments if you guys are going to Galaxy's Edge. When's the next time you are going to head to Black Spire Outpost? Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching, you guys. This is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.